Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I don't know why there were so many people waiting. Why were there so many people waiting? I had to do something, so I had to start it late. The movie was great, the Melania movie. Well, I heard it did very well in terms of those the documentary styles is surprising. Yes, I did hear about the Preddy shooting and the fact that they were both Hispanic. I saw their names and I mean, you just wonder how many of these. It seems like every other ICE agent is Hispanic, if I'm going to be honest. So it creates this weird dynamic in general. There's a lot of Hispanic ICE agents. I mean, the pay is ridiculous for an entry level job. Thoughts on Elon Musk getting rejected from the island? Yeah, what a weird situation that is. Elon Musk comes out and says Trump's in the files, and then Elon Musk is involved in a email chain that has the subject title Island Fun or something. Like Island Advent. I mean, really? And then he says they're fake. I mean, now you've got all these rich people saying it's all fake. I mean, come on. I'm sure some of it is. The George Bush stuff has got to be fake. There's no way. But this is why the administration was concerned about this. You release all of it, people are siphoning through it. There's a lot of broad statements coming out about Trump and other people. And obviously they didn't want it released. But a lot of these are like anonymous tips and people take them as truth, and you look it through the email chains. But obviously there's some legitimate stuff there. I mean, there's photos. The Prince Andrew photo, bunch of videos of Epstein. I mean, they're going to show a bunch of Epstein shit because he's dead. Like, there's no collateral off of that. But, they keep a lot of the stuff redacted still. Epstein goon to. That doesn't even make sense. Giga, thank you for that $50 donation. I appreciate it. He says, I'm going to be honest, half the files are fake. I think planted so we can't tell what's real, such as Musk Island email. For example, the Trump throwing a baby off a yacht when he didn't even own a yacht till 3 years later. So many fakes. I didn't even hear that one. Trump throwing a baby off of a yacht. And yeah, that's the deception that you look at, and it really clouds the entire release of these files. You just don't know exactly what's real. And all the Trump people are going to say, well, it's all fake. Of course, look at how ridiculous the George Bush stuff is. And I didn't even know about that Trump one, but the some of the Trump stuff that's come out, and they make these broad statements. They say Trump is just this heinous person because of this anonymous tip that was found in an email chain. It's like, okay. Corey in the House vids, ratings, why can't you see? I'm not sure who that is. You're talking about like this, like Zach, the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or something? I don't know. I don't know what Corey in the House is. You talking about Full House? Leftists are repeating the Baby Yacht story. Even, oh, so that's what they're going with? Well, obviously that's a terrible story, but it's such a ridiculous thing. I mean, come on. This is the thing, is they'll cloud it, and now it's like, well, we don't really know exactly what's true, and we have known the files have been tampered with for a while. Why do you think other administrations never released them? Yeah, obviously this is a widespread thing. With really, it goes beyond political parties, something like this, and that's really why the Biden administration never touched them. Hypothetically, they could have gotten an amazing October surprise on Trump, although he could still technically say it's just all fake, they're not real. But not even the Biden administration wanted anything to do with these things, because it is bigger. And I always wondered, what is the real reason Biden didn't touch them? The Democrats didn't do anything. They're bigger than the parties. They are the system. They affect the entire system. The files affect everything. But I don't really see a ton here because there's the deniability aspect of it that's really going to pin anyone down. And I mean, this is the Trump administration releasing these. The only reason they released them is because it was a law passed by Congress. Well, everyone's been talking about that Bannon interview that he did with Epstein. That was like a 2 hour interview he did with Epstein, talking about a bunch of random shit. I saw like 5 or 6 clips from it, but that was it. You don't realize Bannon was pretty damn close to Epstein. There was that photo that recently got released of Bannon and Epstein together. People are retarded. They're going off fake screenshots and anonymous FBI allegations. Yeah, I know. The problem is when you get like an email chain of somebody saying something, people automatically take it to be the truth. And obviously, it becomes political bias. So if it's something that's bad against a Republican, the Democrats are going to say it's true. And vice versa. Republicans are going to say, no, it's fake if it's bad against a Republican. I mean, that's just what it is. There's like years worth of text between them, who Bannon and Epstein. I know. Searching the files for eggs, that's some code words they use, like Pizzagate. Remember the code words in that? Those emails are crazy with that. The gate that shall not be named. What is your Super Bowl pick? Hope to skip the halftime show. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'll take the Seahawks, I guess, just because I'm a normie and their favorites, and also the Patriots had an easy schedule. Did you see where Zelensky was asking Epstein for help or something? That had to have been relative, like right before he got arrested. I mean, when did Zelensky even get into power in Ukraine? Like 2018, 2017? Kraft in the files. Robert Kraft or Bob Kraft. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are in them, and this is why they didn't want them released. And it creates this huge mess. And now people are going to go out and if I mean, I don't really know what really gets accomplished from this outside of this being a total government mess. But really, is there going to be any type of arrest of any? I mean, these people are untouchable. Like, what does this really accomplish? Yeah, they tend to use a lot of the codes, but you would think, why would they, if they're going to use codes, why would you even do it in an email? It sounds ridiculous. People are immediately going to tell you're using a code for something. Like, are they really that stupid to where they're not going to encrypt it better? All these people use Signal anyways. Now I don't know, in terms of the digital footprint with Signal, and I guess you could find any message, but they all use Signal. The messages they'll auto delete in like an hour after they get sent. But they're going through these email chains using these weird ass codes that are implicating them in this. Well, I don't think they would ever release the really bad. I mean, what are they going to release the really heinous stuff that? I mean, that's going to be the speculation. What are they holding back? They released around 3 million total or three million pages, but on the pages there's redactions, so it's There's one of them. People were speculating this lady was told Epstein to kill someone. She's like, you have my permission to kill him. And then how about the Israel stuff? They're talking about the Goyim constantly just talking down on like normie white Americans the entire time. That's great PR for Israel. That's like what people are talking about with Epstein and all this, where they talk about the Goyim don't know anything about financial banking. They're gonna make us all of the money. We're gonna do all the easy work. We're more sophisticated. I mean, it's just a terrible look. Signal is new. Everyone used email for communication. I know, but you would think they would even have something besides email in the 2010s. But yes, that's why everyone goes through emails. These boomers, because this is what was used. Ryan Garcia, Aiden Russ said he's done with Trump. Well, I mean, if you look at the situation, it's like, dude, we really don't know what's true, what's false. A lot of this stuff seems ridiculous. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Andrew Schultz, yeah, he's just a random independent. These people have no real beliefs. They just go with the wind, basically. That's what we should be focused on. Well, yeah, dude, there's tons of people that in general hate Israel. They're going to be talking about that because that is terrible. I mean, it shows you the way that they talk behind the scenes. And there's clearly a different class between Jewish people and whites in terms of the way they talk. Did you see that kid and his dad that was arrested in Minnesota got released today? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, they make a big deal about these things. It's they're gonna get like 1% of them wrong or 0.5% of them wrong. I don't get what the problem is. You have to do mass deportations. This is the issue: is they prey on the mass hysteria, and then they say, well, they detained someone that was technically legal, and then you even look into it. It's like they're temporarily legal or they have a temporary visa. It's like, okay, really, seriously. But I saw ICE was doing operations. What city? What state was it? I forget. But they were in Maine, and they got like 200 people or something. There's no disruptions. There's no problems. They act like ICE is going door to door knocking, saying, "Hey, are you legal?" It's a complete ridiculous. And now ICE is probably going to have to scale back anyways. The files should have never got released, but that was a big selling point for Trump to get elected again. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I mean, obviously, Trump was pretty coy about releasing the files in general, but they could have controlled the situation. But honestly, I don't know. With the way these files are, I'm surprised Trump would even say that he wants to release them, or if he was just his base said they wanted it, so he went along with it. Maybe it was something like that. Because even if these files are false, and there's going to be speculation, and people are not going to believe Trump, and so you just wonder what was the strategy behind Trump saying that, yeah, he wanted to release these. I mean, he had to have known some of the stuff that was in them. And I mean, they completely botched it. I don't know. I guess they just thought that they would be able to just say the files were incinerated by the Democrats. I don't know what they were trying to do back last year, but he was bluffing that he wanted them. He thought they weren't coming. Trump might be remembering the old files and the Epstein files were tampered with during the Biden administration. I don't know. I mean, there could be theories. I mean, it does seem like it's copium. There could be theories of like they put in false information that muddles the waters against Trump, and I don't know exactly what it is. Pro Bowl is on Tuesday. The Pro Bowl is irrelevant. The Pro Bowl is completely irrelevant. Yeah, obviously Epstein didn't kill himself. There's far too much collateral with him. There's just way too many powerful people involved for it to be a suicide. I just think there's no way. There's just no way. I mean, that would be the greatest coincidence ever for really just the US government and the entire political apparatus, the establishment apparatus within each party. That would be the greatest coincidence ever if Epstein says, screw it, I'm going to off myself before my trial. Bill Gates, who is ruined. Yeah, well, now Bill Gates, I think he's trying to like run cover for himself. He keeps getting asked questions about Epstein, and I think he's doing it on purpose to try and act like he has accountability and transparency. But they keep asking him about like, oh, what did you do with him exactly? It's none of the stuff that he's actually accused of in the files. They just ask him like, well, do you regret him being involved with you? And he's like, yeah, I regret that, obviously. But it's like he's trying to get out in front of it and distance, and all these people are trying to do it. He knew so many people in power, he would have thought he could get out, or at least had 100%. Think about the leverage he would have with all the information he knew. I mean, look at Maxwell, and she got moved to a cushy jail because she cooperated with the administration. She already got a better situation because of what she knew. You don't think Epstein, who would have been the supposed ringleader behind all of this, you don't think he thought he was going to take some type of deal to where he would be able to give up information and get a better situation for his future, whether that's like a better jail or something? He probably thought that. Or just based off of the sheer connections he has. But I mean, at a certain point, man, when it gets to be, they can kind of keep it under wraps, all of that behavior, but when it gets to a certain point, it becomes a national story. You're just fucked. I mean, what are they going to give you, a slap on the wrist after all of that? And when it becomes a public story, you're just completely fucked. Remember in like '08 when he became a sex offender, but they kept it under wraps and he went to jail. Like, his jail was literally like a job. He would go to jail at night. He would sleep in jail. He would wake up and he could leave jail. Then he would come back at like 5 o'clock. That was the deal that Epstein had the first time he was in prison. Do you think Trump will be impeached for being in the Epstein files? I think he'd probably get impeached for the crypto stuff, honestly, or some type of market manipulation. But I mean, again, impeached and removed are two different things. I mean, he's going to be impeached. I think that's very clear if they win the House, the Democrats. But I actually don't know. If they have a slim majority, they might not be able to. Well, they I guess still could call. Crypto is crashing. Hmm. Again on a Sunday night. He'll be impeached because the Democrats have a majority in the House. Well, they don't right now, but yeah, they're probably going to if it continues to trend the way it's trending in the midterms. I mean, Mamdani's mother was married to an Epstein and could, yeah, that's a weird. Is that actually true? There's so many AI photos coming out that's fake. So I think there is a connection to Mamdani and Epstein. It's his mother or something. It's pretty insane. Like, you think these people come from nothing, oh, it's grassroots, and then you see a connection like that. It's crazy. Sell Bitcoin, buy gold. That's that you gotta reverse that. You're selling at the bottom to buy. You're selling an asset at, well, Bitcoin's not at the bottom, but you're selling an asset basically at the bottom to buy an asset at the top. I don't know about that one. The TMZ guy is a complete dud. He's a literal. That's a grown man that's just a doesn't understand what the First Amendment is. And you see how badly he got ratioed on that video. I didn't realize that. That was really, really bad. Trump's going to be impeached for the third time. I know, but you have to understand, impeached and removed are different things. Impeached is like whatever. They're going to impeach him because they have TDS. Now, I don't know about this Epstein stuff. It's really hazy. We don't really know what's true and what's false. They're gonna drum up the mass hysteria though, for sure. And they do this whole thing like, well, I mean, honestly, the thing is it's crazy what the Trump administration has revealed. Yes, it did take pulling their teeth to get it, but I mean, they still revealed crazy transparency when it comes to these files. Yes, there are things redacted, but you got to protect people. You got to protect the victims. But look, I think this is some real problems with the entire apparatus. They knew it was going to be a shit show if they released it. That's why they tried to delay it as long as possible. Then they throw it up on a Friday night. I thought they were going to strike Iran to mitigate it, to mitigate the discourse surrounding it. I really thought they were going to. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with Iran, but I mean, that's seriously where we're at. They will impeach him for abuse of power. What does that have to do with the abuse of executive? Yeah, I mean, I like that he's aggressive with executive power, but I guess maybe for the tariffs, the tariff overreach, you can't consolidate that much power in terms of the economic policy in the executive or something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's all. You just ignore Congress. It's all crap. That type of stuff is crap. The executive has to have some level of power over the monetary setup of the country. No other admin has shown as much about Epstein as Trump. Well, not even close. Yeah, I mean, they kind of had to pull their teeth to get it. But I mean, they released 3 million pages, right? Do you think the Republicans are in trouble for the midterms? I don't know. It's a bit early for that. I think it's a bit early for that. Maybe in the summer you start looking at that because they talk about these special elections, and it's like I don't even know what. I mean, what's a special elections? This is a joke. These special elections, look, they're not relevant to the current political landscape. Yeah, I don't know about my prediction for 2028. You can't really predict this far out. You don't know where Trump is going to be. You don't know where Congress is going to be. 2026 has to happen. To predict 2028, I mean, I would say based off of historic U.S. trends, just understanding it, because we keep going back and forth, we're probably due for we're going to stay Republican, I would guess, for 2028. And that's not even me being biased about it. That's just based off of normally when we go back and forth, we're going to stabilize. So Vance, yes, he's a new president, but it's just going to continue Republican leadership is what I think. So I think they'll go with Republican leadership in 2028. Probably. As long as, unless some crazy Democrat comes out of nowhere that's like younger and has energy. But then they would have a problem with name recognition. Problem with the Supreme Court overruling the tariffs is the law is written. It needs to be changed by Congress. All the Supreme Court can do is reinterpret the law, but IDK how much they can do. Well, what does the law say exactly? It gives Trump broad executive power, I'm guessing. Yeah, even if they reinterpret, what does that even mean for the tariffs that are currently on countries? I mean, how does that work? Who's going to win the new Pac 12 this year? Dude, I don't even know the teams in it. The new Pac 12, I'm not. Washington State, Oregon State, and then all the Mountain West, I'm guessing. Losing the House is not the worst thing in the world. Could help 2028 chances, but losing the Senate. Yeah, no, yeah. The only thing with losing the House is it is going to be very annoying to do anything with Congress. I mean, it's just I know what you're saying. It could actually help for 2028, but I don't really know how much it will help. Is it really worth potentially barely helping for 2028, but dealing with three different articles of impeachment or some shit and just stalling everything? You know, I know what you're saying, but yeah, the Senate would be catastrophic because of the way the elections work with the Senate in 2026 relative to the swing seats. I mean, Republicans have a huge advantage, but honestly there is a chance that they do lose the Senate. I don't think it's a high chance. I don't know if it's, people say it's a lock for Republicans to keep the Senate. I think it's a very high chance they keep it because of the elections that are happening this year and the ones that are not. But thoughts on Russia using Starlink? I mean, Starlink, it's Wi-Fi. They can use Starlink. They're gonna use whatever Wi-Fi connection they can. They would nuke the filibuster immediately. Everyone says they're gonna nuke the filibuster, and maybe they will end up doing it. We'll have to see. And that means the Republicans were fools. The Epstein files coin you called has died. That we're putting it to bed. The Epstein files, yeah, that was a year ago. At this point, the Epstein coin is gone because they said this was the last dump. And those type of coins, it's always sell the news. They release a bunch of shit, it goes down. I mean, but I have nothing. I don't know about that coin. San Diego State, Utah State, Colorado State, Texas State. Bro, Texas State is just random, dude. So why is Texas State in it? Exactly. Texas State, I thought they were FCS. They're making the jump. Gwinnett County, Georgia. White population in 1990 was 90%. Now it's 28%. What is the total population of the county? Why are whites not reproducing enough? What is wrong with it? Well, no. That is black migration into those counties. You know what's happening surrounding Atlanta and in Georgia. There's a ton of black migration from other states and surrounding areas. Look about the hotbed in those SEC states. They all are migrating into those counties. So it's actually, you look at the birth rate, there were encouraging numbers. It's not really a birth rate thing with something like that. That's just pure a lot of black migration into those counties. That's what's going on. That's not because of bad white birth rate with something like that when you get that rapid of a shift. There's actually encouraging birth rate numbers, at least for conservative whites that I've seen. But look, it's not as good as it should be. But even in Trump's first year, I've seen the birth rates are a lot higher. Yeah, well, Don Lemon is now doing the whole martyr thing. It's just so pathetic. Like, you could see it coming. It's like, oh, now he's arrested, so when is his book coming out? We're waiting on Don Lemon's book. Oh, you were arrested by the fascist Trump regime for bum rushing a church? Really? You got arrested for bum rushing a church and you're going to call it free speech? Are you a grown adult? Do you not understand the issue with that? I guess you don't. None of these people do. They just... But what is even the thing with Don Lemon? It's obvious it's illegal. You can't do that. You cannot disrupt a private church service. I mean, they could just get him on trespassing. It's a private church service. It's illegal. You can't do it. What is the argument here? What is the martyr status? I'm not understanding it, seriously. He's going to milk the indictment. Yeah, he's starting to really get annoying now. But this is his book. He's going to have a book coming out. He's going to try and really grift it. You've seen a lot of super liberal white girls come from conservative families. How can conservative families prevent their kids? Yeah, that's another falsehood. That doesn't really happen. If you have a conservative, if your parents are conservatives, you're very likely to be conservative. That's not that's a liberal fake talking point when they say, "Oh, we're just going to make your kids left wing in college." That doesn't happen. That's not how it works. Yes, it can happen every now and then because they go to college. They get it's a culture. You go to college, I'm not talking about like the SEC schools, but just college in general. Liberal is the culture. If you're a conservative, they say, it's like inherently racist to be conservative in many of these colleges. So a lot of the girls that have conservative parents that become liberal, it's just all the college and all the professors act like their daddy and the guidance. The professors are all heavy liberal. And also there's a difference in terms of the sexes, the way they think, the amount of guilt that they feel. It's like when you look at the one chart where, Democrats care about things that really don't matter or out of their control and are irrelevant. Republicans care about core things like family and close friends. They tried to blow that meme out of proportion and they misrepresented it completely. That's really what it's about. It's Democrats caring about things that are completely irrelevant to the country or the state. That's what that meme is. Your nieces all went to USC, all maintained being conservative, strong conservative parents. And that's really what you see. But see, that argument where they say, well, these liberals, they say, well, we're just going to turn the kids to become liberal. They're just coping because they're not having any, their own party is going extinct. They're not having any kids because of the hyperfeminism. They tell women that having children it's a hindrance to your career. They want these women to be lawyers. They want them to be boss bitches. You can't have a kid. You got to be like a man. Do men get pregnant? So they're not having any kids, the Democrats. So now they're saying, well, we're just going to turn your conservatives raising children, your kids are going to be liberal. That's not how it works. That's a very low percent. It's like 80% of them stay conservative. If they're raised in a conservative upbringing, you bring religion into it, then it's even higher. You strong religious upbringing, then it's even higher. Epstein looks really smart and likable in the videos you're watching. Well, I mean, he was obviously intelligent, but really only the video I saw that had any type of length to it was the Bannon interview. Yeah, I have been talking about the Epstein files. Everyone and their mom is talking about the Epstein files. What do you want me to say? Listen, the Epstein files, it's really bad for the government in general. It's really hazy on what's true and what's not. And so what do you it's Minger's high IQ and calm tempered. Yeah, I know. I mean, dude, Nixon resigned for much less than this. You don't know how Trump presidency stays legitimate in the eyes of the people. Well, I don't think the Democrats ever really viewed the Trump presidency as. I mean, that's a bunch of meaningless jargon when you say stuff like that. I mean, what do you mean? The eyes of the American people. Liberals, they didn't view the Trump administration as real. The second he got into office, they always say he should be impeached no matter what. And Republicans are going to be the opposite. That's just kind of how it is. Both parties are. It's also polarizing with politics. And why are Gen Zers doing stupid dances in front of phones constantly? You live at a college and high school and you see a lot of dances in front of phones. Well, that's TikTok culture. It's just because they want attention on social media they do things like that. It's a bad culture. And it would be great. I mean, I think the kids, their phones should be locked up or something. I'm Scrooge. I think their phones should be locked up. When I was in high school, I just looked on my phone all the time. So you got to do something about it. And what about Pizzagate now? It is crazy to think about that. Just so much of this stuff coming out. And just the email codes. I mean, how is that not completely incriminating? Epstein files makes the U.S. government look bad, but all the crimes occurred before Trump was president. This basically vindicates people like Alex Jones who said all of this stuff years ago. Yeah, but the problem is Trump is in them, so they're going to use that against him. And there's some heinous accusations. Now you could say they're false, but I mean, I know what you're saying. It happened before him, but the problem is people tied to the administration. Look at Ludnick. Look at Ludnick's relationship with Epstein. How does he come back from that? I mean, I guess you try and just say it's false or something. I mean, he's his neighbor. There's nothing incriminating on the Epstein files about Trump. No, I agree with you. It's really just baseless accusations from what I saw. But it's they try and force you on the to try and defend all of it. And it's like, look, I'm not Trump. What do you want me to say? I don't know exactly what this is. I mean, you'd have to ask Trump or the administration. I don't know what to tell people. Cover Pizzagate. It's worth it for the emails alone, for the coded emails. I mean, how do you really come back from the coded emails? Honestly, in that story, I don't really understand it. I mean, I was actually asking AI about it, and it was trying to like explain it to me, and I was like, "You need to read me this email and tell me." The AI was trying to be like, "Well, you know what? Sometimes adults just use words like this, and it's normal to have parties with food." Yeah. It's like you have to force it to read the email and then ask it, do you really think this is realistic? Did Trump say anything about expanding our military bases in Greenland? Let me be honest with you. Trump doesn't give a shit about the military bases. He just wants the country. He wants the U.S. territory to be expanded. Now, I think what's going to happen is we're going to probably set up some type of missile defense system on Greenland, and they're going to swing it as the Golden Dome being expanded to prevent Russian ballistic missiles or hypersonic. Well, I don't think you can shoot down hypersonic missiles to prevent Russian missiles due to the curvature of the Earth, the way that the trajectory of them, they go right over Greenland. So they're going to swing it and say, well, we're actually now listen. This is the problem. These liberals, they say, well, it's the same deal we already had. They need to make sure that they have full military rights of Greenland. If you have full military rights of Greenland, then you can tell China to fuck off, because that previously wasn't the deal. They were going to do Greenland was going to do a deal with China, and now Trump can tell them to fuck off if they have the military rights. What's response to idiot liberals who say, why are conservatives constantly obsessed with what's between a person's legs and who goes into a restroom? Because male and female, the sexes, it's the basis of society. If you don't fully understand the difference in terms of male and female, your entire worldview is going to be fucked up. If you don't understand men and women and the functionality of them and how they're different and how they fit like keys into society differently, you're not really going to have a basis in terms of how you don't even understand how the world was created if you can't understand genders and sexes properly. China has no military rights in Greenland, only economic. Okay, let me explain this to you. 1 month ago, if China went to Greenland and said, we want to do a deal with you where we invest into your country, just like they do Belt and Road with the Congo and other countries, they do it to gain a foothold within the country, and it's a proxy influence. That's legal. If the US has full control military over them, they can tell Greenland, you're not going to do this deal with China. That's the difference. You talk about they can do only an economic deal. That's the way you manipulate these situations. That's exactly how China operates. It's proxy control. China can only do an economic deal with Panama. Oh, so they just buy both ports of the Panama Canal. But it's not military. So you got to understand military and investment, it's the same thing. It's about influence. Thoughts on Djokovic losing? He should. I'm shocked he even made the final of that. So I'm shocked he even made the final. I mean, that's good that he made the final. Now, Nadal is not the GOAT. China is only investing because the U.S. has turned Greenland down for investing into their economy. Yeah, but it doesn't even matter, though. If we have rights, they're not going to be able to. And they're not only investing because we turned them down. That might be why Greenland is pivoting to them, but they're obviously investing to try and gain a foothold in the region. They're not throwing their money around for nothing. Are they investing into the Congo and their infrastructure for nothing with the predatory loans? No, they do it to take all the cobalt. Bracketology 1.0. Ha. Yeah, I gotta start looking. I gotta start looking at some college basketball again. I gotta start looking at that. I have been looking at college basketball, but I haven't done any videos on it. Ice presence in Minnesota has been pretty good so far. Pretty or pretty? I hear what you're saying, man. Yeah, I mean it's look at what's happening in California now. Look at all these walkouts. Dude, these schools doing the walkouts. It's like Hispanics. It's not. I mean, you look at the schools and the test scores. It's insane. All of these schools performing these walkouts are like none of the kids are passing anything. I'm not even kidding you. Why are liberals obsessed with pushing their base not have to have kids? They must know they will lose future votes. And what is the plan? Well, the plan is to import the voters. They want to import them through immigration so they can replace what they lose with the lower when they're dealing with the lower birth rates. But I don't think they're necessarily obviously they don't necessarily want lower birth rates in terms of voting, but that's the result of the hyperfeminism that they push. So that's just what's created. Obviously, they want as many voters as possible, but what they push is anti-family, and it's not going to give you. I mean, look at their birth rates compared to Republicans. It's night and day. Republicans are basically doubling them up. This is easily provable. Just trying to skip school. That's probably 99.9% of them. Yeah. Did you see kindergarten teachers having kids protest ICE? Yeah, that's really evil. You should be fired for that. I mean, you're talking about political ideology with kindergartners. You got to be fired for that. That's not appropriate. That's complete. And honestly, you're really hurting the kids' development because they don't understand this suicidal empathy and this be nice to everyone. That type of stuff doesn't always work in the real world. You're going to be in for a rude awakening. It's not even good. It's not even a good teacher style. That's not even a good way to teach kids. Do you watch tennis? When I was younger, I watched the Wimbledon. That's about it. Wimbledon is a good one because it happens right around 4th of July. Yeah, TMZ is done. Remember when the people in the background cheered when Charlie Kirk, it was announced he was killed, and then they tried to say it was a car chase. And now you've got their lead guy who doesn't know what the First Amendment is. This is like a 60-year-old dude. This is a grown ass man. There's just no knowledge. There's just zero. If you watch that video, I was shocked. I've never seen somebody with such little knowledge or understanding. It's like there's like got to be a 17-year-old girl that has more baseline knowledge than that on the First Amendment or understanding what you can and can't do, because that's just insane. Like, what even is the argument? Like, even Don Lemon's argument is, oh wait, I did trespass and I did disrupt, but it was because I was covering the event. Like, his entire argument is actually just admitting it when you think about it. Remember Federer always winning Wimbledon? Yeah, I mean, grass is hard. Grass was good for Federer. Grass was not good for Nadal at all. Nadal would always be ranked third. Federer would always be ranked second. Djokovic would always be ranked first, and then normally Federer would win. You've had so many. You've had the debate so many times with progressive who say, "quote illegals can't even vote. They don't understand the census or the electoral college and don't realize it's a long-term plan to take power." Well, think about it. Ask the liberal this. You're saying illegals can't vote. Okay, let's say you're right. Why do you want to give all of them amnesty? So what does that create? A pathway to voting, a pathway to citizenship, naturalization. So you do want them all to vote through amnesty. Even if you don't think so, see, their argument collapses. They don't want any of these people deported. They say illegals can't vote and shouldn't vote. Well, you just want them to become legal and vote anyways. You do want them voting. Of course you do. That's the entire plan. That's what Chuck Schumer said. He said he wants 10 million to be given amnesty. Thoughts on new study that showed 47% of Somalians said they voted for Trump on a poll. Are immigrants as liberal as we thought? Well, immigrants, it's about 70%. It's not 100%, but it's about 70. But even if that was correct when it comes to Somalia, the percentage of immigrants we get from Somalia that are Somalian is a very small percent. Now it's chain immigration, it's chain migration, so they all fester together. That's why Minneapolis has so many of them. It's a hotbed. That's why Columbus, Ohio has so many Somalians, because they're hotbeds. So, but there's really not a ton of Somalians in general relative to other immigrants we take from Latin America or South America. Bananas and rice. That was a crazy, crazy clip. The U.S. has experienced net negative migration for the first time in about 50 years. Whites finally are above replacement level. Yeah, I was going to do a video on that. That does seem very good. I don't know if it's temporary. I'm not sure. They've got that chart where all these minorities are like counting down until when whites become the minority, and they're going to have to update it because Trump has now brought the white population back up for the first time. And I don't know if it is the first time in 60 years. It would be a pretty crazy stat if that's true. Basically, I mean, post 1965, you go from 90% to just this fall down to where we're at now, which is 58%. And it's like they haven't regained anything. It's not even like a single year I mean, maybe during COVID, I was thinking, because there wasn't a ton of immigration, but I guess the white population went down even during the COVID year. But now, apparently in 2025, it's the first time since maybe 1965 or somewhere around there, I would assume, because that was when the immigration laws changed, that the white population went up from 58% to 59.5%. I don't know exactly. The other thing is now they're going to start counting Hispanics as white, because they're going to try and gaslight people and say, well, no, this is, and so that's the next thing I think they're going to do. But we'll have to see. Getting deja vu from 2020 media going hard cause unrest before an election seems to be kind of working too. Yeah, but it seems a bit early for that, doesn't it? Now listen, the problem is what happens in the summer. And I think that they're going to be forced to tone down the ICE operations because imagine if something happened during the summer, then you're going to have these mass protests ever. I mean, I almost think we're guaranteed to have mass protests no matter what in the summer. We had them last summer. To me, at this point, with the polarization of Trump with these liberals, I think the mass protests in the summer are pretty much guaranteed every year Trump is in office, especially with what happened. But also the other thing is like with ICE, I mean, this happened like 9-10 months before the election. That's a long time in political sense. I mean, it's going to be out of the news in 2 or 3 months, depending on if they tone down their operations. I mean, they're in a bad spot. Valentina Gomez disrupt the church in Texas. That accepts all. Yeah, I think she's a troll. I mean, she's tried to run in Missouri and I think another state. I mean, it's just this. She's like a career. It's like her career is to go lose elections, like congressional election races. I'm not understanding what is she doing exactly. She goes to all these different states and just loses. And I get she's anti-Muslim, and we don't want him obviously taking over the United States. That's terrible. I want immigration shut down completely. There's things, but it's like the obnoxiousness of it. Are you voting in the Ohio primary? Yeah, I'll vote for Casey Putsch, but I think he's gonna lose. I don't think there's much of a chance against Vivek. Yeah, I mean, Ohio's in a tough spot right now when it comes to the governor race. It's a tough situation. It does look like Ramaswamy. I don't really see anyone else challenging. But then you got the woman, and I think she's bad as well. But she may. I don't think she's gonna win, but it might be close. It'll be one of those where liberals hype it up like, ooh, the liberals are gonna take Ohio, the governor's race, and then Republicans win. I mean, Ohio, it is a Republican state. So Ramaswamy's already going to have a built-in advantage. If Vivek wins, I'm moving to Georgia. I think people are kind of over. Like, listen, the Vivek thing, it's just all the immigration. And now he's really starting to show it. He's like, we need to have this great relationship with India. I mean, he really does have this loyalty to India, and you see it, and it's but I think people are kind of overdoing it. Like, what immigration policy does Vivek really control? I mean, they keep saying he's going to flood Ohio with H-1Bs. I mean, you're the governor. You really can't control that. I don't think he really. I don't think he has the ability. He doesn't have the ability to do that. Let's be honest about it. But if he ends up winning, he's obviously going to advocate for India. Amy Acton, yeah, but she's a terrible politician too. You listen to her; she doesn't really sound like she knows what she's talking about. Amy Acton. Don't put that Indian in office. Seriously, vote for the Democrat if you have to. The Republican Party has to learn that we don't want these Indians in charge of the country. Yeah, I don't think that's. I don't think voting. I don't think Acton would be better than Ramaswamy. In terms of policy. I mean, if you want to make it a race thing, but it's like, what are you really doing? You're just giving the Democrats more power at that point. Boy, the people really hate Ramaswamy in this chat. And it honestly, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because of the stuff that he said. But Republicans will have an easy run in 2020, in my opinion. Just have to say how much better the economy is doing and continue to keep the border shut. The problem is, the immigration is not going to be as big of an issue, which is a good thing. That means Trump has done a good job on it, but they had a huge advantage on immigration in 2024. They're not going to have that advantage. The economy needs to. I mean, I think we're going to see some serious growth. They've set it up to where there should be some good growth. It's always going to be this problem because people are already they feel terrible because of how bad inflation was in 2022. And the thing is, I think people think like, oh, the prices are going to go back down. That's really never going to happen. Basically, all we can promise is the prices are not going to go up at the same level they were under Biden. That's basically it. Unless you want deflation. Now, maybe in some sectors they'll go back down, and you don't know. But in general, I mean, things like eggs and stuff. Certain isolated sectors will ebb and flow and go down. Gas will go down. But I mean, in general, we're always going to have a healthy inflation. Do you think progressives' ideology is fading away? I don't know. That's a very broad question. I think their ideology is you can't. It's hard, modern progressives on the left in the United States. It's hard to really know or have an actual country because of the amount that they support immigration. I mean, if you're constantly bringing people in from all over the place, it is by and large an economic zone. You can't really be a country. You don't want any more poo poo people. I mean, I don't think he can. He's not going to be able to. As a governor, I don't think you can control that immigration policy. There's a video out there. New Yorkers already calling out Mamdani. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the stuff on Mamdani. We'll see what happens with him. It's to be determined. I think with Mamdani, I think a lot of his policies are going to fall flat, but they're going to try and enact some of them. Maybe a few of them will be successful. I don't know. White people. How did the white population get? Well, the white population was brought back up because of the deportations. He stopped giving out visas, and the white birth rate went up under Trump just in that 1 year that he's been in. Don't vote that Indian in office. Well, I mean, I think he's got Trump's endorsement, so we'll have to see. Yeah, I don't think the chat likes Ramaswamy. Mamdani is already fucking up. Trash collection has been bad. Yeah, the thing is with New York City is they have gotten a really weird weather. New York City nowadays is a lot more mild. So they got snow and then they got cold after it, so the snow didn't melt. And I think they're dealing with that right now. But I'm not a fan of Mamdani. I just the weather has been weird the past few weeks because again, even in Ohio, when we get snow, normally it'll melt within a week or so, and it's just been so cold, none of it's melted. Yeah, that primary is pretty early. I feel like the other primaries are later than May 5th. I saw that and I was like, he doesn't really have much time. There's going to be a Republican primary debate? I would imagine. I don't know what's really if that's going to make much of a difference. Imagine the Florida debate. You've got Fishback and Byron Donalds. You've lived in NYC since you were a kid. Never neglected trash this bad after a snowstorm. Yeah, well, maybe they did do something then. Maybe that is Mom Donnie. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly the obligation that the city has when it comes to the trash. I mean, I know they got hit with a pretty bad storm. Trump, we only want white immigrants like the founding fathers envisioned. Well, the 1790 Naturalization Act, a lot of these people don't know what it is. I mean, the 1924 immigration quota system, and really until 1965, it was pretty strict. Remember, they brought in around 1% Chinese, and they said that's too much. Now we have to implement a Chinese Exclusion Act immigration bill in the late 1800s. I mean, this has been the immigration policy, and then they gaslight and say, oh, that's not the country. Where do you see the Iran conflict going? Well, Trump is waiting for the go ahead to strike them again, and he wants it to be catastrophic. He wants it to spur some type of regime change, possibly giving the protesters the motivation to do something. I think it's a mess, though. How do you get regime change with just 2 or 3 strikes? I'm not sure. I think that's why he's not doing it. How does the regime fall with? I mean, maybe it's a paper tiger. Maybe it just falls really easily. But I don't know. It seems like obviously it's a problem with Trump and Israel, and it's an obsession. We can't flood our country with Euros, too liberal. Well, this is the issue with any type of immigration. You're right, like the UK and stuff like that. There's not that many of them, number one, that would want to come to the United States. That's just the reality. Number two, yeah, they're liberal. Western Europe, it's more liberal. But those countries, I mean, they're first world countries. Are they really going to want to come to the United States? I don't really see. Eastern Europe, you could bring them, but there's no real. There's a huge language barrier problem. You just look at situations like that. You can implement a strict system, but the United States immigration from Europe really dried up in the mid 1900s, anyways. Because we used to get a ton of immigration from Europe. It dried up. And that's really not how the world is now. Obviously, they've supplemented that in a terrible way. Now they take people from Latin America, South America, Africa. It's a huge issue. They just shouldn't take anyone. They should let our population either grow or wither away by ourselves. I mean, and you can implement a system to where, there's some interesting countries you'd look at, like in Argentina. Maybe a few of the Pacific states you'd look at. Just bring in the persecuted ones, legit refugees. What, you're talking about like South Africa? Elon clip from the wedding, scroll down. Thoughts on going to Eastern Europe to find a hot wife? You're dealing with a huge language barrier there, man. Like, I understand it's bad for guys. I get it. I do. But I think that's it depends. I guess it depends your dating situation. But that's a cry for help. But I get it, man. I mean, the hypergamy in the United States is just next level. Oh, come on.
Crazy.
Really? A Hitler stash on Melania? Boomer liberal white women are menaces. Ukrainians, Poles, and Eastern Europeans want to be here. I know, but even you bring in some of the Ukrainians, and it's just like I understand it would be optimal, certainly over the other ones, the other immigrants, the third world immigrants that we've been bringing in, but going to another country because nobody wants you, that's when it gets. I mean, that's why you gotta kind of say no to that. I mean, do you mind a little bit of non-white immigrants coming into the country if they assimilate and adapt to our country's culture? Well, it depends what country they're coming from. Because the United States inherently is Christian. They try and lie and say it wasn't Christian. I mean, think about the United States. Whether or not it's in the Constitution, when you put in the 1790 Naturalization Act, basically saying only Europeans can come, obviously that's only Christian people. So they're basically saying the country is Christian. Yeah, I think right now there has to be a total stop to immigration. It just because the amount that we've brought in the rapid shift that we've seen. But I don't think it really is solved federally at all because you look at it, it's just like there's too many. This is the thing is these liberals, they'll bring in 10, 20 million illegals on top of the amount of legals that already get naturalized or have visas. And then you try and deport 300K. It's like these are not fair. This is not. We're not being equal. It's not like there's 10 million coming in and then 10 million going out. There's like 10 million coming in and then maybe Trump can deport 2 million. Like how is this? This doesn't look like it's going to end well for Republicans, at least in terms of these immigration differences. Dude, I've heard dude, all anyone talks about now is market manipulation, I swear. That's all anyone talks about is market manipulation by elites. And I mean, I guess I understand that anytime there's a movement in Bitcoin, it's market manipulation. I think there's going to be a major rotation from gold to Bitcoin. I'm not coping. Yeah, I don't know where that wedding clip is. Well, this is the problem. It's these spam texts, these spam tweets. I can't find it. Do you have anything? What are you asking? Do you think Trump sold us out to the deep state, or he's just worried about being liked by his enemies? Well, what are you talking about? What in terms of the deportations, or in terms of the Epstein stuff? The Epstein stuff he didn't want released in the first place. I mean, this is something that happened years and years ago, and look, nobody really knows what's true, what's false with Trump in it, but there's a lot of anonymous tips that come in, and then they say it's true. I don't know, but like when it comes to the deportations, Trump obviously has. Trump does have this fixation with being liked by certain people and certain media companies, and it tends to be to his detriment. Dems ain't voting for the Save Act. They are wasting our time. Yeah, I know that's really, but you have to force that. You have to try and force it just so people know. It's terrible. But what is the actual argument? Is that something that's going to be deliberated and within Congress? I mean, it seems insane that they're not going to vote for it, which they're not going to. But what is the argument against it? Is it just that minorities don't have access to IDs? Is that's the argument? What countries can't we take refugees from? Even that, it's just it depends, man. All right, I mean, dude, not again. All right, man. I see Trump 2028. How many pages were in the JFK assassination files versus the Epstein files? Well, they released a bunch of shit on JFK. A lot of it was really boring, and it's the same with Epstein. I don't know the comparison, but again, the Epstein stuff, they release it because they're forced to because it's a law now. Yeah, I agree. The asylum seekers, the refugees, because of our immigration problems. I mean, we've taken so many more immigrants than the next closest country in the past 40 years. That's why people are saying we need a cool down. Is there real evidence CIA killed JFK? Yeah, there is something to that. There is something to that. I don't know. I never really got into that one, honestly. That was one I never really got into. But it's a lot like 9/11. It becomes this complicated mess, and you're not gonna get a proper. I don't know enough about it, but you're never gonna get a proper answer that's 100% clear. There's too many things intertangled together, but maybe the JFK is different. I just know that's what 9/11 is. Dude, what in the Dude, come on, man. Like, this is a grown ass man with this thumbnail. Is this Nick Shirley? Nick Shirley, Benny Johnson going to expose fraud? This was like years ago, that Chuck Schumer thing. Don Lemon warns MAGA, says they've awoken a sleeping giant after he was arrested. Yeah, the grift is important. Eric, thank you for that donation. I'm so freaked out. I feel like something huge happening is inevitable. Someone just lost so much blackmail, and it was the very glue to lots of stuff. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. Certainly, a lot of this was being used as blackmail. Again, a big takeaway for a lot of people is going to be, the way Epstein was talking about white people and the goyim, and like the viewpoint of that, how elites really view that. So it's and so who knows really what this means in terms of that. But the thing is there's this is like, who's actually going to get convicted for any of this stuff? Is there anyone? This is the Trump administration releasing it. Are they really going to release anything that makes it to where there's going to be some type of indictment? Do you feel anything will ever come from all this stuff? Yeah, that's the thing, is I don't think there will be anything that comes with. They need to release more. They said they're not releasing anymore. Do you see Vivek losing Ohio? Yeah, I don't think he's going to lose Ohio. I'm going to stop talking about that race. I mean, this chat just. I think he'll beat Acton. It'll be closer than, it'll be close. Dude, why did you want to see this clip so bad? It's just Elon Musk walking at a wedding. Like, what's. So there's Elon with his red scarf. Please play COD World War II, do commentary. The Sledgehammer game, or you're talking about that? I like the Sledgehammer game. I literally had to go on a fucking treasure hunt for this clip, and it's just crap. It's just terrible content. Yeah, I'm not gonna be looking at that one. Yeah, that's right. There is gonna be an MLB lockout. It's gonna be really ugly. MLB did this to themselves. The greed did this to them. The player greed did this. And the Dodger manipulation, it's all horrible. Why is Vivek losing support in Ohio like he's going to lose? Well, number one, you're talking about midterms in a year in which Democrats are going to be overly enthused. You're talking about a state that's more conservative, but not completely conservative. You're talking about Ramaswamy not really appealing to normal independent people. His ideas, they just don't coincide with like normie Ohio independence, I can tell you. It's a lot of like radical stuff with like different things that he wants to do. And I'm not saying it's like crazy radical, but just compared to like how normie people think, it's like they just don't want him doing some of the stuff that he says or he proposes. You know, if it's better to just be a normie if you're in Ohio and you're running. That's what Acton is. Although actually she's probably more radical left, but they're just able to massage the point easier. But now she's just running like this stuff against Vivek, like he's obsessed with India and he calls Americans losers, and I mean that's what she's running now. I did say that I would vote for Trump in 2028 last year in February 2025. The context was if Trump somehow got another nomination for GOP 2028 and he was on the ballot. Yeah, I mean that is true. I'd vote for Trump if he was on the ballot, but it's just not realistic. Who are you voting for? Probably Casey Putsch in the primary. I guess I don't even know about Casey Putsch, but Vivek proposes shitting permits in Lake Erie. You know they have an issue in Canada with that. If they really had anything on Trump, it would have been released during by the Dems during the Biden administration. Well, technically, I mean, you know, the thing is there's a lot of these emails to where they could have released these emails, and it is stuff that Democrats would be able to use as propaganda against Trump. So technically, they did have stuff. Now you can say, well, that's fake, or it's not real, or it's unsubstantiated. But that's one of the wrinkles now to where you do have to say, well, technically there are emails that look bad for Trump. Again, you can say they're fake, they're not real. So they did choose to not release those. And to me, that's more of a, you know, whatever whatever the incrimination is, the system is bigger than the individual. They're not just gonna throw Trump under the bus or do whatever and risk the entire thing being blown up because you know, if they release something like that, then it would get really, everyone would demand everything be released, and it would look really bad for the Democrats because what are they going to pick and choose what things get released to make Trump look bad, but not release anything else? So they had to make a decision. Can you movie review Melania? I'm going to watch it. Dude, I literally got roasted for asking people how is Melania. They're like, bro, what are you talking about? No, I don't think I'm going to watch Melania because it's just, that's not something I would like. I mean, it's probably just boring. I'm sorry, but and you know if it's a historical documentary on the White House and the transition and stuff like that, that would be one thing. I mean, I've heard it's boring. I've heard. I don't know. Yeah, apparently it's done very well for a documentary in terms of the viewership, but some of that's just the MAGA people watching it. You'd watch it when it's on TV. I mean, yeah, I wonder if there's any interesting parts of it. Traditional, what do you think about marriage? Woman wants traditional aspects but doesn't want to provide it themselves. Well, it's all warped. I mean, the marriage, marriage is based on a power difference, a power dynamic. When the woman makes all this money, the power dynamic is different. The woman gets more confident, starts doing. I mean, it's gender roles. When you don't fill the gender roles and you're in marriage, it's probably not going to be a very good marriage. I'm not saying the exact gender roles based on history to a T, but there should be an understanding. You're not seeing that in the modern time. If you're dating a girl and she makes double the amount that you make, I mean, you're a cuck. That's a dynamic. You don't want any part of that dynamic. Honest thoughts on Nick selling Epstein merch? I don't really care about it. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or another about him. Whatever merch he decides to sell. My tweet about Nick Shirley, that was just a reply. That wasn't even a tweet. Well, I guess it was a tweet, but it wasn't an actual like real tweet. The main guy from Pawn Stars. I got to be careful when I say that. You know, that show name. He got married today for the fifth time. Yeah, I heard about that. It's a fifth marriage, really. Fifth time's a charm. Something about that. Thoughts on picking up a homeless girl since you make minimum wage? It's a good strategy. She'll be skinny at least. Yeah, I don't know why they're asking me about my opinion on merch. People dropping merch. I mean, what am I? I don't control whether they release merch or not. I don't care, dude. I don't really get offended by stuff. Well, yeah, the marriage issue, and it is a big. I mean, women they thought it was unequal because they were doing the sacrifice. They didn't have careers. Now they do have careers, and they still get the 50-50 split. So which one is it? If you have to get married for a fifth time, and yeah, if you it's I mean it's just probably not going to work out. But 84%. This is what wow, Gallup. This is good. Imagine Democrats vote against this. Public opinion 84% want it passed. Why has the Biden administration not been arrested for treason? Nothing ever happens, especially to anyone within the political class, unless it's Trump. Then they'll arrest Trump or try and arrest him. Seriously, can this SAVE Act actually get passed if it has this much public support? I mean, what are they going to vote against this? Democrats are up. They're up to 80% chance to win the House on Kelsey. Yeah, I mean, I would have figured it would be around 70, so I guess that's not too surprising. Oh, did you see Nick Shirley in California? And this Somalian woman or Muslim woman, it's like, that's Nick Shirley. He was in Minnesota. What do you want? And then Nick Shirley's like, there's supposed to be 14 kids here. Are you running a Oh man. That's what this is now. He's just going to these states and finding these people. And then liberals once again are trying to, liberals were trying to defend the luring center And now it's closed down apparently for good. You don't understand the new cope from Republicans wanting a Democrat to win because of a bad candidate. Well, it's just another extension of accelerationism. You know, they think the Republican Party is not nearly radical enough. The only way they'll shift radical is if they lose elections, or they'll shift to be more moderate. It's one of the two. So, but it also potentially shifts the country more to the right if a liberal gets in and does a bad job. There's a few different ways to look at it. Dems are not winning the House or Senate. I guess we'll see. It's closed down. Yeah, I saw the U-Haul outside of it. That was a thing that came out. Well, there goes that. That was one of the best daycares in the state of Minnesota. That's a critical loss to the community. You hate how we have congressional elections? Yeah, I know. Well, when we're in power, of course we're going to hate having it and possibly because now you have to appease independents and tone down everything for like 9 or 10 months. So yeah, of course it stalls. It's a stall. It stalls things by months and months and months, and then it might not even pay off because they could lose the house. But they're gonna sacrifice all this shit. They're gonna say we're gonna tone down the ice, we're gonna tone down the deportations just to try and hold on to the house. Well, and now the independents are saying, well, we want the mass deportations, but we don't like the way you're doing it. It's like Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan type shit. That's the normies you have to try and appeal to. And these people are like, well, you know what? Now it's a dictatorship because you're deporting people, I guess. And we don't like the way it looks. There's too many people protesting it, so we don't like the way it looks. Yeah, I mean, I like cheesecake. Cheesecake is really bad for you, but who doesn't like cheesecake? I mean, cheesecake is really good. It's a rarity to have cheesecake. It's not a real dessert that's you don't see cheesecake every day. Let's just say that. Logan Paul almost won the Rumble. That's the issue with WWE. Why is Logan Paul in WWE? They bring these social media people into it and it just waters it down. I think it makes it bad. But I don't watch WWE. But it's like, why bring Logan Paul into it? It just you hate cheesecake. You don't get the hype for it. I mean, cheesecake is good, but it's really bad for you. I guess it depends on your palate. You may not like it. Cheesecake Factory, a good date. Remember Baker Mayfield in the Cheesecake Factory? Baker Mayfield's not even that good of a quarterback. I think he's overrated now. Despite who wins in 2026, we're still running Trump 2028. It's a dictatorship, even though it wasn't under Obama. Well, Trump likes to really stretch executive power, which is good. He should stretch it as far as possible. I tell him just ignore Congress. You have to ignore Congress. It's so important. So I think he's doing that. I mean, it's just like you have to try and pass some stuff and just Congress is holding everything up. Even with the majority in the chambers, you can't even pass anything. Really the only reason though. Congress is very important, I should say. That's the only reason they were able to get the big beautiful bill passed was because of that. They had the chambers. Jake and Logan endorsed Vivek. It's just I don't know if that's true. I mean, it's a bit weird, but I don't know. Just use executive authority. House is of no use. Yeah, but you have to get things through the House. Unfortunately, it's separation of powers. Executive, legislative, judicial. You know, a lot of the liberals control the judicial system. It's well, I guess technically the Supreme Court. You would think they'd be able to do a lot more. They've got the Supreme Court 6-3, but some you could argue some of the Republicans on the Supreme Court may not be the Republicans that we want. 6-3, the House and the Senate, they still can't do shit. But the other thing is, what is the makeup of Congress? Are these boomer? Are these, you know, what type of conservatives are these that are our representatives? They're not really the MAGA aggressive type. Let's just say that a lot of them, maybe some of them, but yeah, they moved. You moved to Puerto Rico for better tax situation. It's apparently really good. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but these guys, they make, you know, they save like 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year probably in taxes. If you go down to Puerto Rico and have your primary residence, it's funny though, because of the way the tax law works. You have to actually physically live in Puerto Rico for a certain amount of time. So that's why they all build mansions there, because they have to live there for like, what is it, over half of the year or something like that. That's how you're a resident there. You want to find a nice conservative ginger girl? Mixed race Iranian girl? What are you talking about, bro? Yeah, I know when Trump said that about the second one. That was it was an exaggeration. My take on Jake Shields attacking Nick Fuentes. What for the Epstein merch? Yeah, I don't really see. I mean, it's an edgy thing to sell that type of stuff. I mean, it's whatever. Oh man, dude. Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley, the new household name. Oh, it's so funny. It's Nick Shirley. He should be in Minnesota. John Fetterman becomes Republican. Do you think Andrew Tate is compromised? He's gone soft lately. He's got a lot of collateral that they can use against him. Somebody, yeah, Andrew Tate. Okay, let's just think about this with Andrew Tate. He, you know, portrays this certain macho ness, and now after this little outing that he had, he's like, well, you know, he's counter signaling. I think he's there were some threats that were against him, and he said, all right, you know, this is how it is behind the scenes. Your girlfriend is Mexican. No, I didn't, but it's just because there is a lot. You do see that a lot with Trump supporters. Now, maybe that's a stereotype. I think that's a stereotype. She's legal though. Yeah, it's good to know. He's acting as if he didn't play the song out loud in his car. He looks weak as hell. I mean, is that what he's trying to portray? You know, bowing down to Adam Sloznick or Slozcast, whatever. I mean, that to me, there's something behind the scenes at play there. There's no way. Come on. I think there's got to be something behind the scenes going on with that. Adam Sosnick, PBD, PBD. You guys watch PBD? I can't wait to tune in to PBD. They're having on Alex Jones. I want them to have on Alex Jones. I would watch that. I know they had him on before, but will DeSantis run for the Senate? I don't know. I mean, 2028, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in 2028. DeSantis, though, I will say he seems a little bit it seems a little bit hazy on his political future. I don't know exactly, because it seemed like Casey DeSantis was going to take over for him, and it would be just like a pilot DeSantis or DeSantis by default, where he'd have a ton of oversight, even though he's leaving. He's term limited. But I don't know what he's going to do in the future. He probably still in the back of his mind thinks he can be president. I mean, because, you don't swing a state like Florida with that population and don't have some level of confidence in yourself. But obviously, I don't think he's going to be a Republican nominee, or the Republican nominee in 2028. Was the Melania movie a flop? I never seen it. They said it was actually a success for a documentary. Yeah, DeSantis definitely screwed himself. I mean, there's no question about that. He's kind of rebuilt his image a bit, and he's in Trump's good graces again. But he's probably looking for an opportunity. I mean, that's what politics is. It's an opportunity. We'll see what happens. Right now, it doesn't look like it's trending in his way for 2028. It looks like, there's a lot of younger conservative Republican representatives that I'm sure are pretty mad. But it seems like it's pretty known that it's Vance or Rubio. Yeah, no, I know. Alex Jones was absolutely right on that. And you see some of these things that come out, it just exposes so much of it. I mean, we don't know what, everything that's real, but obviously this is legitimate in terms of how this situation was unfolding with Epstein compromising people. I mean, that's just what happened. Dude, enough with the Iranian question. I mean, this is
This documentary is a big success. We're going to get official numbers from Amazon later this morning, but already, according to the projections that are circulating in the film industry, this is the #1 documentary in terms of box office ticket sales in about a decade. This documentary is another example of the red-blue divide. We've seen ticket sales be a whole heck of a lot stronger in Republican stronghold areas than we have in big blue cities, and that was to be expected.
I swear X goes down at least once a day for me, where you can't load replies. That's the problem. You can't load the replies. What is the ugh, another liberal casualty. What happened here to this young lady? Modern liberalism. I saw Cenk Uygur go on Tucker Carlson, where they just bashed Israel the entire time.
We're considering an ark. It's like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. So for 200 years they wanted to build an ark. There are 57 cities throughout the world that have them. We're the only major city, Washington, D.C., that doesn't. The circle prior to the bridge, the Arlington Bridge, has been waiting for hundreds of years to have this done. In fact, there are 4 Eagles that got built, but it was interrupted by a thing called the Civil War, and so it never got built. Then they almost built something in 1902, but it never happened. So we have.
He is right on that. If you look at the area, it is just a giant circle patch of grass. It's a roundabout. So I think it's a roundabout. but it is ripe for a monument. And so it doesn't surprise me that they were planning something and just never got built. So he's going to build this, they say 250 feet tall. Hitler's arch in Germania that was going to be built if they won was 384 feet. This is 250. So they're saying this can't be done and it's too big. The real argument with this, if it can be 250 feet, is comparing it to the scale of the other monuments in DC. They say, well, it's too big in terms of the scale if you make it 250 feet high. But you can easily build it 250 feet high. That's not a problem. If they decide to go through with this arch.
We have an unbelievable ark that I think will be the most beautiful in the world being built there. It's going to be built there.
It's 250 feet.
I don't know what the height is. It's just appropriate for the site. We're setting up a committee, and the committee's going to be going over it, but it'll be substantial. I'd like it to be the biggest one of all. We're the biggest, most powerful nation. I'd like it to be the biggest one.
And Tim, for this charity.
It's a very exciting job, actually. They've been waiting for many years, just like the ballroom. For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom. Now we're going to put up the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I could have built a much bigger one. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in keeping with. I didn't want it to be taller than the White House, etc. So I wanted it to be in keeping. But it's a really beautiful building, done by some of the best architects in the world. The ballroom, likewise the Ark. I think it's going to be great. We're just setting up a committee now for the Ark.
Yeah, well, I agree with the person there. The ballroom is not. The ballroom is a bit too large. The ballroom is a bit too big. This triumphal arch I like. And maybe they could make the arch 400 feet. That would be sweet. But if it's 250, I mean, it's almost double this. No, it's like 75 feet taller than the Paris arch. Dems will tear down the ballroom in 28. I mean, who really cares about that? It's just like, yeah, I wouldn't really care about them tearing. I mean, I like the idea of building things, and it's something that we've lost. You know, I thought Trump was really gonna look at building a mega structure. By the way, you look at that Commander Stadium. I mean, that is right on the axis with the U.S. Capitol, so it is gonna be a big change for Washington, D.C. when they build that stadium. They're going to be incorporating that stadium really right into it. Thoughts on hockey being played at Raymond James Stadium? Did you see what they did around the rink? No, I haven't seen that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really talking about trains or like urban train, but I really wouldn't mind a high speed rail or something like that if it could get done properly. The problem is, based on regulations, those projects never get off the ground in the U.S. like a high speed rail. But and they're all in very liberal areas where there's a lot more regulations in general. But that's not even what I'm talking about in terms of building. I would say like structures. I'd like to see some major, impressive structures be built, not necessarily like infrastructural transportation designs. I don't have any of the Greenland coin. I sold the Greenland coin weeks ago. I don't think there's any Greenland news. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. It's kind of a rowdy stream, but I will see you guys later. I don't trade stocks. Not right now. I need to get into it. I'm looking at the amount of money I have in my bank account. I'm trying to manage it. Yeah, they're not going to build in Gary. There's no way. They're using Gary for a for leverage. Gary is not really an option for a state. They would have to completely the entire city would have to, the infrastructure of the city would have to be redone. The city is basically abandoned as far as I know, Gary, Indiana. They're just using it as a way to try and get a better offer, I think, from Chicago. When's my next live? I don't know. I mean, it probably soon, probably tomorrow or the next day. You know, yeah, some of it's like, well, listen, if I don't do a video, I kind of got to go live to make some money. That kind of is what it is. I mean, I should have a video tomorrow, but we'll have to see. Either way, guys, I'll be seeing you later. Like the video down below. Thank you.